This is a pair of sneakers that I bought for $50 just 2 years ago. The color is already damaged to the point you can see the sponge underneath. And this is another pair that I bought for $50 around that same time. But this is my indoor shoe. I only wear this when I'm working, so there's a lot less movement. But the collar is also already torn and has to be replaced. If you're like me, then you come to the conclusion that, well, $50 just isn't enough for a decent pair of shoes. And I would have agreed with you if I didn't also have this pair that I paid $50 for 9 years ago that are still in decent condition. I run, hike, and lift weights in these to this day, 9 years later. So I thought that this is the quality I was paying for when I bought these. I'm sure that you've noticed it as well. The things we're buying are breaking much faster. Our clothing, cars, technology, media, and even services are crappier now. It's like we've been slow drip crapola for the last few years, and now the cup is filled, and every part of our life is filled with junk. This is actually a known process called Enshitification, and I'll talk more about that in a bit. But in today's video, I want to focus on physical products, why it's happening, and what potential solutions do we have to the enshitification of our things. Look at this article. It's written by Izzy Ramirez, and she talks about replacing her favorite bra. She used it for 10 years before it finally died. So she replaced it with the same bra expecting it to be similar. But after washing a few times, it fell apart. The quality was significantly worse, but the price was about the same. And this bothered her enough that she spoke with experts to understand why. It turns out that the answer was right in front of us, but hidden away intentionally. Think of how much the cost of goods have increased over the past 10 years. Here's the cost of rice. Here's the cost of milk. And here's the cost of the synthetic rubbers we use in sneaker soles. It's gone up by about 25%, and that's just one component of the sneaker I'm wearing. At that $50 price point, I'm literally buying a different shoe and didn't know it. Of course, the materials have to be lower quality, or the work has to be lower quality for them to justify that price point. But why didn't businesses just tell us that the cost of materials went up, so they're raising the prices? Well, you know how Black Friday sales did this to people? Like it possessed them the way people in a church get possessed by the Holy Ghost, or the way dogs get possessed for mating season. That happens because consumers love a deal. So to prevent that negative emotional impact of seeing your favorite shoe's price doubled, that would make you look at other options, businesses just sold us a worse quality of the product at the same price. These businesses arguably do some shady that I will absolutely get into, but consumer desire for deals has impacted the quality of goods in more than just that one way. If I go onto Amazon now, I'll be able to compare the prices of thousands of goods with each other, then buy the best priced one for me. But there are 3 built-in problems that have changed the way we shop and reduced the quality of goods significantly. The first is that we can't physically feel anything to judge the quality, so we're trusting the brand reputation, reviews, or just accepting that whatever we buy might end up being a dud. But this buy first, examine second process changes the way we perceive quality. I'm already invested into a product I haven't touched yet, and unless it's overwhelmingly poor quality for the price, my loss aversion activates, and something I would not have paid that money for in person is suddenly good enough. Because the risk of poor quality has shifted from the businesses to the consumers once we began shopping online. And I know that you're saying, well, it's easy to just return the packages. But that's because you, the type of person in my audience, takes the time to return packages and learn how to spot fake reviews and put water at the end of the ketchup bottle so that you can get that last little bit out, even though you know no one likes that you do that. I do it sometimes too. But many people don't want the hassle of dealing with impersonal customer service, which is the second problem that online shopping for deals has created, a breaking down of responsibility and accountability among ownership. Now people will dropship you crap and be nearly impossible to reach in a new way that didn't exist before. The third problem is actually easier to show you. This is a Mount Dog softbox lighting kit that I bought a couple years ago. I was investing into my YouTube channel, but I didn't have a lot of money, so I bought what the creators recommended. But if I go to Amazon, there are literally dozens of this same product at different price points with only the name different. And because I couldn't tell what was the difference between this one for $70 and this one for $80, I bought the cheaper one. Amazon has a problem of low quality knockoffs of brands being sold, sponsored, and promoted on their site. Thankfully, now they have their anti-counterfeit unit dealing with it. But consumers' desire for convenient shopping and better deals left us vulnerable to crappier products and at least partially created this throwaway culture we're living in. The second bit of responsibility though, I've been waiting to throw onto these because if you can't tell, I'm really angry because this next section is really spicy. Like rectum burning after eating authentic Indian food type of spicy. Okay, I'm sorry for that imagery. Let me get back to my job. If you remember, earlier I said that businesses were doing arguably shady shit that we need to talk about. It starts with this guy, Ernest Elmo Calkins. Other than the thinning side part, sharp suit, and dead eyes, Ernest is best known for something he called consumer engineering. He pioneered and documented the skill of getting consumers to demand products through planned and perceived obsolescence. Thank you, Ernest, you asshole. Planned obsolescence is the practice of designing products to break quickly and become unusable in the short to mid-term, like what Apple has been accused of doing with their iPhones. Perceived obsolescence is making things outdated in the minds of consumers so they artificially lose value and utility even if they're working. Like fashion brands creating new trends to get us to dispose of our old clothing to buy whatever they've decided is now in. It doesn't take a genius to recognize that to us consumers, this practice is disingenuous and shady. But to Ernest's defense, when he came up with his ideas, it was to solve a problem at the start of the Great Depression. It was meant to stimulate the economy because things were being produced too quickly, lasting too long, and consumers were making do with what they had. And to me, as a frugal person, that sounds fantastic, but that also came with problems. It meant that jobs were slowing down because people were consuming less and production was slowing down. But that's the most optimistic view of this idea. We're now 100 years removed from the Great Depression, but businesses are still being accused of using these practices. Why are they still using it? And I don't want to hear anything about keeping jobs or productivity, because as optimistic as I am for the AI revolution and what it will do for us, I'm positive that given the opportunity to reduce costs, many of these companies would throw their employees underneath the bus, because that's just part of the process of the Enshitification of things. I realize that I'm talking about Enshitification as if everyone knows about it. If you didn't know, it's a term coined by Cory Doctorow that defines the process online platforms go through to go from genuinely useful to a steaming hot pile of garbage over time. The example he gave was Facebook. To attract users, it was a wonderful site where you could see what people you loved were saying. And people became dependent on the platform for social inclusion. Then Facebook began monetizing users by giving the media and advertisers the chance to bid to interrupt the very people we came on the platform to see. Then once those companies became dependent on the platform for our information to advertise and eyeballs, Facebook turns off the attention and jacks up the price, making the experience of using Facebook bad for everyone. That's the life cycle of Enshitification. It's a slow drip of turning the value we got as users on a platform into value for selfish corporate benefit, making it garbage for the rest of us. In the real world, Enshitification is happening through brands. In the US, there are antitrust laws to encourage competition and innovation. The laws are there to stop companies from becoming monopolies through exclusionary methods. That means a single company cannot stop other companies from entering the market and offering alternative solutions. But Apple's ecosystem had it sued by the Department of Justice because it's been doing that very thing for years. Apple products take a hit to speed or functionality anytime you step outside of their ecosystem or use an app that Apple doesn't want you to use. When their screens break, they've made it so difficult to repair that you must return to them or buy a new device. And it might seem like I'm picking on Apple, but it's not just them. They're just the easiest to relate to. But many companies are intentionally making things difficult or expensive to repair and encouraging us to just buy something else to fix it. That's why people are demanding the right to repair. It's become egregiously obvious that companies are building things with the intention of breaking, then leaving us with no choice but to return to them or buy something new to replace. So why would a company choose to intentionally build poorer quality things and not build strong, reliable products like they did in the older generations? Well, the answer is obvious, right? We don't need anything anymore, but businesses need to turn a profit to stay in business. So they've allegedly began designing our products to fail or have so much technology that it's expensive to repair. Like the Samsung AI Home. These things seem so useful, but if they're all going to break in a couple of years and require each other to work, it will be like refurbishing your entire home every couple of years. Then there's products that don't actually need upgrades but are getting them. Like this running shoes with Bluetooth, which I can understand. But then there's the beanie with Bluetooth that makes a little less sense. And then there's the upgraded version of the beanie with Bluetooth for those that don't want to be left behind. And that had me wondering, is there a way for us to deal with this that doesn't require moving to a place that doesn't have public toilet facilities? If there is something we can do, I think it starts with looking at this refrigerator. This is a Hotpoint refrigerator from the 1940s, and there are still a couple that are alive, kicking, and documented. And this appliance care company tried to answer the question we all have. Are older appliances genuinely better than the ones we have now? And the answer was yes and no. Because there are complications when we ask that question, were things in the past better? The first is survivorship bias. This Hotpoint refrigerator is still alive, but that doesn't mean every Hotpoint refrigerator is still alive, or that any other brand from that generation would survive this long. There is also the difference in design. Older electronics were designed to be repaired, but modern electronics are expensive to repair, so they're designed to be replaced. I'm not saying that companies are doing this altruistically, but if the right to repair movement grew a bit further, that could drastically change the lifespan of the products we're using now. I shared that to say there are still high quality products among all of the junk, and there are still brands that are happy for their products to be repaired. It just costs a bit more. When I was shopping around for my new sneakers, I prioritized durability. That meant I had to pay more because I now understood that the price of materials had increased. Just by spending a bit more, I started researching how to care for my shoe better, because I don't want to spend a lot of money on something I expect to break quickly. Maybe prioritizing durability, repairability, limiting our upgrades, and learning how to care better for our things could create the doorway into product longevity. Check out this video next. I think you'll like it.